All right, welcome back to the channel, folks. It is literally about a month till deer season here in the Ohio woods, and I was doing some mock scrape work over the last 2 days, and I thought I need to talk to a guy before I deploy anymore, just to make sure I got all my fundamentals down. And there's probably nobody else in the Midwest that's done more mock scrape and camera studies probably in the last year or two than Kevin from the Deer Hunter podcast. Kevin, how you doing today, man?
Yeah, real good. And I think that's accurate. Maybe not just because of me, but because of the outreach that we have with our community and audience, that I get hundreds of inquiries and feedback. So it's not just me doing the analyst, and that's important, what you see versus what 10 people see versus what 100 people see versus what 1,000 people see. It does matter. So yeah, I'm getting ready to. Some days I feel like I'm behind, but then other times I remind myself that I'm not. I strategically have positioned myself to need to get all my stuff up here in the next couple weeks. But I was thinking about that a little bit today, and probably worth mention right off the front end of this is a lot of guys have already, I've seen them, boy, they're really putting a lot of time and effort into going out there and getting these scrapes up and running. I don't know how many hours some of these guys have already spent in the woods. Me personally, I did all my work right after hunting season, basically. Well, before green up. 90% of my work for the year was done before green up. I really think what I'll do now here in the next couple of weeks is I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a speed tour of all my locations, and I'm going to see what scrapes are getting actively used right now, and I'm going to target those. I'm
Yeah.
just going to let the deer kind of tell me which ones are they're liking and why, and kind of take a look at what's going on real time. But I like to do that as tight and close to the front end of the season as kind of possible. And when I got to weigh my hours, that's what I'm going to be doing here in the next couple of weeks, is getting cameras deployed and getting traps set.
Yeah. So let me ask this: if somebody has a location in mind and wants maybe a mock scrape there to just enhance said location, whether that be public, private, regardless, but they're like, yeah, I kind of want to make something happen here because there's not something here naturally. Is September a good target time for somebody to deploy that?
It's based on when your opener is, I would say, right?
Okay, yeah, plus or minus. Let's just call most openers are between September 15 and October 1.
Plus or
Or is
minus.
this something you should wait until maybe season starts rolling and the deer have shifted?
A lot of factors here. If you're on private land, it's probably different than public. Um, private land, if you do think you have full control of it and you want to get in there and do this stuff and then just really stay out of there because everybody's going to be hammering on the woods, and let the deer kind of fill in. But for me, hunting, 90% public this year, probably. That's probably accurate. 85 to 90%, maybe 95%. Squirrel hunters, ATV users, everybody's out there. The deer are already kind of getting stirred and ran around a little bit. So I don't feel I provide any negative feedback to them to just go in there one day as close to the season as possible. Um, if I can do it anywhere from September 1st to September 15th, really, that gives me 2 or 3 weekends. And for my drives and my distance and the things that time in and out of the woods, like if I have 3 days, I can probably get all of that done. And it'll take that, so if I got to take a Saturday here, Sunday here, Tuesday evening here, or whatever, but if I can have all that done, in the next 15 days, and we're what are we, September 1st right now?
Mm-hmm.
That'll be great. But I don't have any problem going right at the front end of the season, kind of going right through the beginning of the season. Honestly, the whole what's happening right now, and just kind of playing off of that wave versus fighting the waves, like riding the waves, see what's happening out there, and just kind of, if you spend a bunch of time out there in the summer, I feel like you're trying to, I'd rather let them come to me than try to manipulate them to do so, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So let me ask this. What would you say are like 2 or 3 key things to make the mock scrape the most successful it can be?
Well, number one is it has to be in cover. for the most part, and that varies too, right? I mean, hill country's different. Maybe it doesn't have to be in direct cover based on where the deer is bedded and what the first, I love rough funnels. Like, you put a good scrape that has cut, like put it in between, like maybe you could say two bedding areas, just two heavy cover areas where it's clearly like provides them the best opportunity to go between these two larger. It's a funnel, right? You find the right one or a good one, and you set up a good scrape. There should be one there. A lot of times the licking branches are gone. It's as simple as going in there and reestablishing a quality licking branch. That happens a lot. Some of my best ones, I find them, they're remote. It's like, man, nobody's coming here. Nobody's hunting here, definitely. And you could see that licking branch maybe been broken off for a decade or whatever. So put one up. And those spots are pretty, pretty good. But the cover is the biggest thing, right? They're not gonna forego that. Like, it's not there. I don't think they're gonna stand there and go, I should make this dumb mistake so I can walk out and check this thing out. No, it's got to be convenient, and they've got to feel safe.
Yeah. Well, let me ask like kind of the opposite of that. Are there like two or three like big no-nos or like avoid doing this, don't do that?
Yeah, there's a couple things, but also to piggyback off what we just said, those ones that they don't, what I said, it's like out in the middle of nowhere. They're not going to want to prioritize that during daylight. That often can be utilized at night for just intel. What deer are coming in and out of this wood lot? Sometimes it's in somebody's yard. You can monitor a wood lot, what deer are going in and out from somebody's wood lot, sometimes in some people's backyard just that night. It's like, I figured that out when I lived on a farm and the area started getting built up and the deer really had to start moving a lot more at night.
Yeah.
That they would walk over decorative bridges if you built them over, like, they'll do it under the cover of darkness, but they'll take the path of least resistance, and sometimes that's right through your backyard. And it's like, why am I seeing all these tracks here and this and that? And it's like, obviously you want to get your cameras on top of them, but if you're just looking for general intel, what deer are in the area coming and going, you can build a scrape. The point is this, then you can run an SD card camera over that and monitor it without negatively impacting where you're hunting at all. Big no-nos are negatively impacting going in there, monkeying with it, sprucing it up when it's not the right time or strategy to do so, thinking that you'll be better off to go spruce it up versus like just letting it ride. You're like, I'm seeing a couple deer, but maybe I just need to get in there and touch it up one more time. Or you're running an SD card and you want to go check. So entry and exit's imperative. I guess to summarize, the big no-no is letting them know that you have anything to do with it. Because once they figure that out, your rate of success is going to diminish very rapidly.
Something I've heard that I think was like an aha or a good thought that I've applied to my hunting since is if he steps in the scrape once, in your head, count that as 3 visits because he's probably within that thing within 50 yards 3 other times for the one time that he actually gets his picture taken, if you will.
That's
and so that to me is like a very like good thought, especially when you're looking at cameras detailing October, like let's call it 5th through the 20th. If he's only in there maybe on camera 2 of those times, but then in your head you say, well, he walked by that camera 6 other times or 5 times that the camera didn't see.
Yeah,
that's something I think is a good thought for guys maybe watching this video wanting to set the trap, if you will.
Yeah, another big no-no thing that I got adjusted to in the last couple of years that I pay attention to doing is if I'm establishing a new mock scrape, or say we got to go in there and fix a licking branch. Say we're scouting and they're like, oh my gosh, this is a spot. You get there, you could see that there could very well be a scrape there, but the licking branch is broken off. You're going to reestablish a licking branch and throw a camera up. Reestablish your licking branch, put your camera up, scrape your dirt up, check out whatever trees you want to check out for potentially, obviously what tree are you going to hunt? That's maybe one of the most important things. I guess the big no factor of this is don't spray your scent on your scrape and then do all that stuff, because you kind of lay out a little bit of a drawing board for the deer when they come in there and start investigating, and they'll follow your, if you walk through that stuff, they'll walk around, and you don't have to, it's cleaner to just do all your stuff and then put your backpack back on and be able to be ready to just strategically walk out of there. The last thing you do is just really just hammer that thing with scent. And it's like throwing bleach on a crime scene, in my opinion, the CSI thing where you'd have to come in there with the infrared light and see what really happened. Because once you put the scent in the dirt and spray the branch catalyst, it's so overwhelming to their senses at first, that first couple days, really, that they'll pay no attention to what you did in there. And you get to set that up, and that plays on two things. It covers up the crime, and it I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they might be able to smell that stuff for a mile away. I mean, I bet you they can smell it a half mile.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got no doubt, especially like a windy directional day, or maybe there's like a big thermal gathering, 400 to 800 yards away. I bet like anything that crosses through there in the next couple of days picks it up and can then sweep into that location.
Yeah, and that's when it can really benefit you on the fly in the rut too, man.
Yeah.
If you do, you set that up strategically so that a deer is going to be cruising. There's multiple spots downwind that deer could be cruising, and you have this thing set up. And you're in a situation where these deer feel comfortable moving. I'm hunting big forests, right? So it's like, how do I draw a deer out of 100,000 acres? I want to put him in this couple square feet, but utilize every tool. I do some blind grunting to vocally reach out and put scent down, and you can reach out. You can reach out with that. We used it quite a bit last year, experimenting, just putting it in the pine browse around the base of my tree when I go up, because a lot of times I'll just have does come in from different directions. It's like if I'm hunting a spot where deer could come in from 8 different directions, sometimes you just got to gamble on which one you're going to give up. Yeah. I sprayed branch catalyst at the bottom of our tree when I was hunting with a cameraman last year on a couple occasions, and we had deer come, hit that trail, stop, investigate the scent pretty calmly, kind of look around, and then just kind of go about their business. And I was like, dude, if that was our boot tracks, that would not have been the way that situation would have went. They would have stopped. They would have been on, these are mature does. They would have stopped. They would have been on alert, and they would have been looking around in the tree until they saw us, and then they're going to be doing and it didn't go that way. And I'm just like, man, I was never going to promote this product as a cover scent or something but it's an attractant, and it will draw deer, and it will also deer that are in the area. I'm not going to say it calms them down, but you get less negative interactions if they smell that than if they smell you.
Okay. All right. 2 things that I think we're going to leave the people with is, you and I discussed last year. I feel like scrape week, people hear that term all the time, and they're like thinking October 20th to Halloween, that final 7 days of October. You and I talked about, don't give up scrapes that first couple of days of November, and because heck, even the first 10 days of November, bucks still utilize scrapes, and that sort of tactic should not just be gone because the month says November. And then 2, leave us with any other information that you think.
I'm so glad you don't ever give them up. Not every week, scrape week.
Seriously. Dude, sometimes my best scrapes are in December.
Every week, scrape week.
I like it.
If it's deer season, it's scrape week. Like, I would argue that the front end of November, man, that window, right around the 6th, 7th, last year, November 7th, hands down, daylight activity on a couple of scrapes in some big interior swamps that nobody was going. I mean, not even me. I set these things up in September, and I didn't go back in there until like November 12th. And it's a long, this is a big time suck to go hunt this. It's a big commitment. When you decide that you're going to go hunt this interior island, that's your whole day. So you want to know that there's deer in there. And I want to know that I'm not going to go sit in there all day. So I had to go check the camera. And I pulled that camera and I'm just like, man, November 7th, just boom, 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 boom. And you know what? I might have compromised myself by doing that for last year. But this year, I know. This year, I know to go hunt November 7th, not come in and check the card on the 12th.
Yeah.
So.
Put that in the Rolodex for sure.
Scrape week's like, yeah, take a look at what's going on around you. But dude, December, the snow flies. You get a snow cover and you go out there and rip a scrape open and light up an oak branch with, name your favorite scent. Mine's DH3 branch catalyst. Light that thing up and you'll have a bunch of deer coming in and checking it out for the next couple days. And if you have a quality deer in the area and that time of year, the deer that I shot on December, whatever our opening day of muzzleloader was, they've changed it so many times in the last couple of years and the zones and things I forget now. I think we were right at like December 2nd or 3rd was our opener. And my buck was rutting so hard. His tarsal glands smelled so bad. He didn't come in there until Thanksgiving. And he specifically came in there because there was a group of does in there. And then guess what? He was on that scrape like every day or night or every other day or night for a week. And I totally took that intel, targeted that scrape, and killed that deer within a week. And that was December 3rd.
All right, so they've heard all about this, Kevin. Make sure that you plug the website so people know, the product you and I use for a lot of our mock scrapes. That way that they can locate it, and I will link it in the description below.
It's a full spectrum synthetic scrape kit. You get 2 8-ounce cylinders. There's 8 ounces of synthetic urine, 8 ounces of branch catalyst. DHTHREE.com. That's DH3.com. DeerHunterPodcast.com.
Boom.
And it's 3-part system. Part 1's education. It's all on you. This isn't a Band-Aid or a fix. It could just assist you, but you got to do the other stuff first. And it's like a scrape. I'll leave you with this: scrapes like real estate. Location, location, location. Don't fight it. Ride the wave.
All right, Kevin. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Byron.